What's up, airplane collectors? Welcome to a model review. It's your host, Ray. Today we'll be looking at the Gemini Jets Breeze Airways Airbus A220-300. This model was released in May of 2022, and it's also the second model that Gemini Jets has produced on their new Airbus A220 mold. So we will be discussing that in this video as well. This review will consist of a short discussion of the box and then a discussion and analysis of the model's features. And at the end of the video, I will give my personal opinion about what I think of the model and whether or not I recommend it to other collectors. Starting with the box, it's the standard Gemini Jets box, sitting at 15 centimeters lengthwise, 15 centimeters tall, and 4.5 centimeters wide. I'll show you guys around the box. So here's the front, bottom, right side, top, left side, and back side. Underneath the flap, the history of the Airbus A220 family can be seen here, as well as some specifications for the aircraft. Here's the model itself. The model is 10 centimeters long, the wingspan is 8.7 centimeters, and it's about 2.8 centimeters tall from the ground to the top of the tail. So it's small and it's accurate to 1 to 400 scale. I'll show you guys around the model now. Apologies if my fingers get in the way, and apologies if the model falls over, since this model is a little bit tail heavy and the nose gear is taller than it should be. Starting with the review at the front of the aircraft and most of the fuselage, here you can see a lot of printed a decent amount of printed details, the Breeze title, everything there is that needs to be seen. Something that has been pointed out by various collectors and something that I've noticed as well is the nose shape. The nose shape is not very good at all. You can tell that the nose is a little bit too steep for an A220, and the nose is also a little bit pointy, so that's not exactly accurate. And as we move down the aircraft, I have no other complaints. The fuselage details are pretty nice. The colors are good. They at least look good. Now that we're at the rear of the aircraft, let's talk about the vertical stabilizer. The vertical stabilizer looks really nice, as well as the Breeze logo right here on the tail looks pretty solid. Up here is what appears to be either a hair or a scratch, but that's actually a printed detail that belongs on the model. Here's the other side of the aircraft, and another thing I'd like to point out with the vertical stabilizer is that there is no indentation for where the rudder goes. It's just one solid tail, where usually you'd see an indentation for where the control surfaces begin. However, there is none for the rudder, so that's kind of disappointing, but it's also hard to notice. I'll show you guys the right side of the fuselage, and I will provide almost no commentary since it's virtually the same as the left side, if the camera would focus, that is. Moving over to the wings look pretty nice. There's a lot of printed and molded detail on them. No complaints for the wings. They're painted white, which is rather unusual. I don't usually see that. And on the bottom of the wings, there is a bit of molded detail, but obviously no printed detail. Moving to the rear of the aircraft again, here we can see the horizontal stabilizers in the APU section. The APU section looks okay. There's just a bit of metallic gray paint for where the APU is supposed to be, so it doesn't look the best, but then again, it's really small. So, oh, actually, I take that back. You can actually see a little bit of a cylinder for where the APU exhaust is popping out or protruding from the rear section of the fuselage, so that's actually pretty realistic, so it looks nice overall. The horizontal stabilizers have a decent amount of printed detail on them, and they look okay. I forgot to talk about the wingtips here. I'm not sure what these are called, but I'm just going to call them the winglets for now. The winglets look okay, except this one actually has a paint chip on it, or a paint defect of some sort. However, the Breeze logo is visible, and it looks nice. And the one on the right side looks a little bit better. Here's what it looks like from the inside. It's just a plain blue color. But on the outside, you can see the Breeze, or you can kind of see the Breeze title there. You're just gonna have to take my word for it. The camera's not focusing today. Let's talk about the engines. The engines on this model, they look alright, and this is one of the things I noticed from the new mold compared to the old mold. The engines appear a little bit different. I'm not exactly sure. The exhaust, for one, this section of the exhaust is painted a darker metallic gray, like this part of the exhaust on the older mold. However, on the new mold, this one is on the new mold, it doesn't appear that way. Something else I noticed at the other A220s I've seen is that the engine here sometimes is tilted upwards. However, that's rather uncommon, and it's not as significant as seen on other models. This is what the fan blades look like. The fan blades look pretty good, actually, for an engine this size. On the underside of the engines, on this section here, you can see there's a few paint chips here as well, so I'm going to guess that something happened during production to this model. And you can also kind of see on the exhaust here, whoa, you can kind of see some cracks here in the paint. Ouch, that's not too good. Looks like they didn't have the best time painting this one. Here's the bottom of the aircraft. Down here you can see a decent amount of printed detail, a bit more than I expected on the fuselage, as well as the large breeze title, which is unfortunately cut by the display stand hole. Now let's move on to the landing gear, and as I pointed out earlier, the nose gear of this model is way too tall. They unfortunately produced this wrong and it's way too tall, but I guess it's a trade-off since the older mold that was made by Herpa, actually, this one I'm going to assume it was made by Gemini, the wheels didn't roll and they were made out of plastic. However, these wheels are also made out of plastic, but they roll still. Forgot to mention, a lot of parts of this model are unfortunately made of plastic, like the horizontal stabilizers, I think the vertical stabilizer as well, and the landing gear, at least the nose gear. It's very easy to bend and mess with, and you can kind of see me bending it with relative ease here. But on the bright side, the nose wheel does roll, so it rolls really smoothly, so that's a first. The main landing gear will also change. These also roll as well, so they have that going for them. I'm not sure these are made out of plastic. These might actually be made out of metal, but they're a bit better quality than the nose wheel. Here's what the model looks like from the front. Here you can see the wing flex of both the main wings and the horizontal stabilizers, as well as a few other things. So the model is balanced correctly on the landing gear. However, the cockpit windows are ever so slightly tilted towards the left of the aircraft or the right of your screen, and you can also see the vertical stabilizers tilted to the right side of the aircraft or the left side of the screen. The wing flex looks decent. It could be worse, I'll say that, but the wing flex looks within acceptable levels. You can also see that the nose wheels are spaced pretty far apart. So I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it, but there's actually a significantly sized metal shard that's just sticking out the side of the nose gear here, and that's been happening on quite a few Gemini Jets models. So as a consequence, the nose gear is really spaced out, and at least it rolls, but sometimes this metal that's here sometimes jams the landing gear, so that way they don't roll. Well, that concludes the review. So now time for my personal opinion. This model, it's decent. It could be worse. It could be worse, given what Gemini Jets has also put out recently. It's a solid model. It does have quite a few defects, like the nose gear. It's pretty tall, and sometimes it even makes it look like the model is leaning backwards. This one, it's not, thankfully. These might arrive broken. I haven't seen any broken units yet, and the engine tilt problem I mentioned earlier. Again, there's quite a few quality control issues that could arrive with your model, but overall I've seen decent quality control on these. So it's a solid model. It does have a tendency for bad quality control. Therefore, if you want to get this model, then I recommend it. It's the only one that's out there, and even then, I mean, it's a low chance for quality control issues. So if you want to get it. I personally recommend it, but just buy it at your own risk. That's what I'm going to say. Well, that concludes the video. If you have any comments or questions on anything I didn't cover, feel free to drop those down below. Like, comment, and subscribe. Stay tuned for more airplane and siren content, and soon rocket content. And I'll see you guys in my next video.